Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado. I'm so glad you could join me today. This is my buddy Puccini, who helps me in the craft room, and as far as I can tell, he's more popular than I am on my channel. So we have a very fun card for you today. I am working with the Abigail Rose suite, and I have come up with a design that I really like. So let's just get started. All right, this is my card, and it's a pocket card, and it's got a little bit of a different angle at the top, and then my card pulls out. This one says happy anniversary, and then on the inside it says best wishes. And I'm going to change it up a little bit this time, in that I didn't realize when I made this prototype that this happy anniversary stamp is retired, and so I'm switching to a happy birthday stamp from Happiness Abounds stamp set. So what I used was a card base that is Gray Granite, and the Abigail Rose stamp set, or the papers, have Gray Granite, and they have other kind of neutral colors in it. It's very pretty, and I chose not to color these roses, but to leave them the way they are. And so let me tell you a little bit about what I used. I used some of the beautiful paper from this Abigail Rose suite, and I used the stamp set and the dies from that. What I used was this large die here, and I wanted to show this to you because this die cuts out these papers, and I'm going to show you how that works. I've already cut mine to save a little bit of time, but I thought I would show you because it's so cool, actually, the way this all works. This die is set so that when you place it around, I'm just using this big flower here to set it up, and you get it set on this paper and put it like this. It's set to cut, and I think it might just be the roses that are facing this way, but I was able to cut 1, 2, 3 or 4, and you see that it cuts out each of them separately. So you get roses and leaves all cut out for use in your card design. And so here's some of them that I've already cut out, but that's how this die works with this paper in the Abigail Rose suite. So I'm using for this second card this happy birthday from Happiness Abounds, and then I am using from the Abigail, or the Cottage Rose stamp set, I am using the best wishes from here, and let's see, what is the other one I used? Oh, the birthday from the other set that I just showed you. All right, so that's what I'm using to make this. And let me just show you a little bit about these papers. So this paper, which is really very pretty, is in Very Vanilla, and it says that the colors are Basic Black, Crumb Cake, Early Espresso, Petal Pink, Smoky Slate, and Very Vanilla. But I found that this Gray Granite worked beautifully with this paper, and I think it would work beautifully also with the Smoky Slate. And then it's on Very Vanilla. So that is the papers, and they're really pretty. I mean, that cluster of flowers is absolutely spectacular, just gorgeous. And there are all different kinds, and then it's got gray backgrounds and small patterns, And this one is definitely more crumb cake looking than the others. And then it's got this brown pattern on the back in darker colors. And then this, which is very, very vintage looking, I thought. Very pretty. And there's that pretty leaf pattern on the back. Then there's another one of those pages that cut out by the dies. And then this beautiful paper, which is roses with some writing on the back with the brown colors. It's just really very pretty. And I think this would be fun to take some of these flowers, even like the ones that I'm using for today, and just sponge a little bit of color with a dauber in the center if you wanted to not have to color every petal, just to get a hint of, say, a mild purple or an orange, which I think would be absolutely gorgeous on this, or yellows. Any number of things. In fact, you might sponge a little bit of yellow in the middle and then something else around the outside. Poppy Parade, I think, would be beautiful too. In any case, I will be playing a little bit more with this paper as time goes on, and so I'll be able to show you more that we can do with it. For today's card, however, the very first thing we need is this card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. Then we need a piece that is 1 1/4 inches long by 12, and that's to get these pieces along here. Then you need this paper to cut out, and actually one pass with this die on this paper is more than enough to do one card, depending on what kind of a design you want. They can be fussy cut out too, but one pass gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 flowers and some leaves. So pretty easy to die cut that. And so this piece is 4 inches by 3 1/4. And that's going to go on the back of this piece here. And that 3 1/4, you will see with a little margin there, is enough to get you past this mark here. You don't have to cover the whole thing. A piece that is 3 1/4 by 4 is plenty big. Now this piece, I thought this came out really rich looking. And what I did was I used one of these pieces to set across this way, and just inside of the pocket, and then use the rest of it to come back across this way. And I'll show you exactly how I'm going to do that, and that sets up the pocket. Then the card itself, you need another piece of gray granite, and the piece that we'll cut off here is the piece that I turned around and put on the front of the card, so there's no waste on this one. And this is 3 1/2 by 4 3/4, and then the piece of Very Vanilla is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. And then I used some of the extra flowers that I had out here, and then I decorated with our matte black dots. And you could just use rhinestones if you wanted to pick up a different color, or anything you've got in your stash. And on this one, I just used my black marker to pick up the color for the inside of the dots. And I might do that on this one as well, so that it matches with the black there. And it has other shapes to the inside, but I just turned mine into dots. Okay, so this is what we're going for, and this is how we're going to get started. So the very first thing I need is my trimmer. And what I did was mark this at 3 1/2 inches. So let me get that marked. I wanted a fairly deep cut so that I could play around with some decoration on here. So there we go, and I'll mark this at 3 1/2 inches. That's perfect. And then I'm going to set that in my trimmer so that this corner is here on the trimmer in the cutting channel, and then my mark is on the bottom end of the cutting channel, and we're just going to slice that piece off. There we go. And then when we get ready to do this, that's what's going to give us this off-center fold business here by placing this down on this corner. All right, so the very first thing we need to do once we get that done is to get this piece put into place here so that we have just a tiny bit of a border. And I'm going to use my seal to do that. And the leaves are really not directional, but you need to put it on so that it makes sense to you. But there we've got it set in there, and when I close my card and put my piece on the front here, you won't be able to see the, I guess it goes like this. You won't be able to see the bottom of this paper. And that will be the same margin that I'll put along this edge and along this edge. So the next thing I want to do is to put this paper right along this edge. So I'm going to, because I might have to lift it to get it exactly right, I'm going to just use my dot runner to put some glue down that. And I'm going to set this in place so that it goes all the way to the edge. This point goes to the edge of the card, and then this piece will be put in place and give a similar border all the way down the piece. And there we go. So that's now done there. And what I'm going to do is use my snips to give this a perfect fit. So I'm just going to turn this around, and I'm going to snip off this edge right along the back here. And now that fits perfectly on that end. And I'm going to turn it around this way, and I'm going to snip this end off of here. Now, I've got a little edge here. This piece is going to go on here across there. You don't have to make this piece go all the way to the bottom. You can cut it off here because this piece is going to come across. But 1 inch strip is plenty to get this done. So then what I'm going to do is use that angle that I've already cut to set this here and put that right along this edge on my piece of paper, and that's going to, then I can again trim this off and get the perfect fit on this. So I'm going to add some more glue to this, and because we're going at angles here, you end up using most of this strip, although I suppose you could make it shorter by cutting this one off a little bit sooner here. But so I want this to come all the way to the bottom edge of the card and give me roughly that same margin that I had on that piece above. So I'm going to set that down so that it's even across the bottom, coming all the way across and giving me a similar border all the way up this piece. And then we're going to take our snips again and cut off the excess here so that we have a perfect fit on that end. And now we're ready to add these pieces together here. And this is going to fit just right across there. So on this piece, what we need is some tear tape. And I've got a little bit of tear tape here. And what I'm going to do is put a little piece of tear tape right along this edge and right along this bottom. And that's going to secure this bottom piece in place. Then we'll put tear tape on this one and put it so that it comes across here. And we're only going to need to put the tear tape on this edge and this edge, because putting down these flowers will hold this together. All right, so the very first thing I'm going to do is set some tear tape right along this edge, and I want to get it pretty close to the edge, and I don't need to go all the way to the bottom because I'm going to put a strip at the bottom as well. So there we go. That is that first edge done, and we're going to burnish that in place with, you can use your take a pick tool. I love these little tools, so I like using that, and pick up the release paper to expose the sticky side. All right, that way then we are ready to put our tear tape along this edge on the bottom, and I'm going to have it come most of the way across here like that, and then we'll just cut off this piece here, and there we go. I'm not worried about that little edge. It's going to be just fine. So again, burnishing that piece of tear tape across there, and then removing my release paper and going ahead to, oops, okay, little piece of paper stuck there. Get this set so that it meets exactly, and puts that in place. And now we've created the first layer of our pocket. Okay, next is this piece, which is going to go on here, and what we're going to want to do with this is put tear tape on this edge and this edge, and that's going to complete our pocket. All right, so we know we want it on this bottom edge, and since it's already secure, this doesn't have to be a very big piece. We just want it to come across the bottom and not wiggle out of place. So there we go. And again, I'm going to burnish that piece down and then use my pokey tool here to pick that piece up. Stubborn release paper there. And so that is the bottom piece, and then we need another piece to come up this edge. So again, put my tear tape in place right along the edge of this, because we want to make as much room inside the pocket for our card. And it's not a very big piece on the inside, but coming across here is pretty important to get it as close to the edge as we can. And so that is that, and we're done with that tear tape. Now we're going to burnish this piece in place and lift that piece of release paper, and we're going to put this piece, isn't that nice? No waste on this. And we're going to put this here and right along the edge, getting it right into the corner so that it comes to the very bottom of the card and right along this edge so I can't see any of the card behind it. And then this across here, just like that. And now my pocket is complete. Isn't that pretty? It looks so tailored looking. And so now we've got that piece all done, and this actually is open. So if you wanted to, you could turn this into a gift card by putting something, let me just grab something here, like my matte dots, just to show you that you could lift this up and you could put a gift card in there if you so chose to do, because we didn't glue this piece down. Although once we put the flowers on, then you won't be able to quite get that open. Okay, so the next thing is this. Okay, so what we need is this piece, which is again 3.5 by 4 3/4. So this piece is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2, and we can do our stamping on this one now. And I've got my stamp mounted here, and it is best wishes that I want to put on this, and I want to make sure I put it far enough down on the card that it won't show when I put my insert in. So I'm using my Memento black ink, and I'm going to get this up here, and we're going to stamp this using this as a guide right here on the card. So I've got my best wishes down, and then once my stamping is done, I can go ahead and add this piece to the front of my Gray Granite piece. Should be using seal to do that. Oh, there's my buddy. Sometimes he likes to be kind of up here in the middle of everything. And as long as he doesn't impede your view here, he can stay. All right, so this is now ready, and we want to just make sure that it fits inside our pocket, and it does quite easily. Very good. All right, so now we are to the sentiment. So we need a little piece of Very Vanilla. Here's my happy birthday, which is a photopolymer, so I need a little bit of a cushion to do that. So I'm going to bring out my cushion, and I'm going to do that also in the Tuxedo Memento black. And I want to set this right on the edge of the bottom of this piece of paper, so I only have to trim the upper part. So let's see there. There's my happy birthday going right on the edge of that card. Oh, not very good. I wiggled it around a little bit too much, so I got kind of a fuzzy front here. Let's try that again. Happy birthday. And that's much better. And then with that, what I did was not very straight, so I'm going to have to trim that a little bit at an angle. There we go. And then trim up, and what I did here, I'll show you because I've already trimmed one. I like fussy cutting around sometimes the sentiment, so I cut around the Y, the tail of the Y, and then I cut across the top of the letters going over some of the taller letters here, and then down and across up over the H, and then I trimmed this last piece down this little curly Q at the front, and I kind of went around that edge and finished it off. I like my sentiments to be not the star, although sometimes they are the star of the card, but mostly it's the design and the papers and the other stamping that we want to be the biggest piece that shows here. And so I like sentiments to be fairly small and unobtrusive. So we have two choices here, one that's a little bit deeper cut, and actually I think I like the one with the flat bottom, so we'll probably use that one. That is going to go on our card kind of right across here, and I'm going to put that up on some mini dimensionals. And by placing this piece first, let's bring back this other card so you can see what it is I'm doing. And it's kind of coming right across here. That allows me then to be able to set my flowers a little bit more so that you don't crowd things out. So if the happy birthday goes on first and then the flowers go on, you're in pretty good shape. So now I've got my flowers put on there, my sentiment is there, and I have my matte black dots, and I decided to use just the smaller ones and then use my marker here to add more dark detail, like on this bigger flower here. And I think I did it on one of these smaller flowers here, and I think that was it. And the rest of them I put some of the matte dots in. There we've got our dark detail on there, and we've got our piece all decorated up, and we have our sentiment put in there, and so all we have left to do is put our card together. Isn't that just pretty? I really like this set, and I think, like I said, I think the next one will put some color into the actual card itself, or into the flowers when I work with this the next time, to give it a completely different kind of look. But there we go. There is my project for the day. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, well, I'd love to be your demonstrator, or you could join my team. There's still a week or so, a couple weeks left here in the month, and there's a great join offer right now that it's $125 worth of product for $99, which is the normal deal. And then this time they're throwing in $66.50 worth of the new in color material. There is cardstock, full packages of the 5 different colors cardstock, one each of the ink pads for each of those colors. There is the package of designer series paper that matches the in colors, and grid paper that is the in color grid paper. So it's a pretty darn good deal. Puts your join offer about $191. I think I took a pencil to it for the $99, which is an excellent, excellent deal. So that is the deal. And my number is always listed below the video. Been talking to a couple people, and so if you're interested in joining Stampin' Up, I'm happy to kind of walk you through what has to be done, and help you as much as I can. My prize draw for the month of May is a $60 shopping spree on me, and how you put yourself in the drawing is by putting an order of any size on my store, lbedinger.stampinup.net, and you can get to it through my blog, www.inkandingenuity.com. And I'm due this week to put up another Puccini picture, and I might go back in time a little bit because we've got a darling one of him when he was just a kitten and had only been here for, a couple of weeks, and figured out he could climb into the Christmas tree. And so it's kind of a fun fun one with him peeking out of the tree. So I will be putting that one up later this week. And so that's it for me. I will be back soon with more cards, more projects, and more tips. Bye.